Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. My name's Dan, this is Exploder, and we are here at the event center. What event? Not important. I'm here with my good friend, co-host of Hillbilly Therapy, something about sports, his own show, things like that. A good friend of mine, Jake Eilerman. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's ironic on a wrestling thing that you'd break kayfabe.
I know, right? I know.
Kayfabe.
I heard you two knew each other, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Either way, this one is
kayfabe.
Here in the event center, we like to talk about things as they're happening. Exploder's a lot about nostalgia and talking about things in the past, but occasionally I like to talk about current things. And man, I'll be honest with you, when I came with this idea, I didn't think there'd be that much stuff, and then there was. So we're gonna cover different topics. Breaking news, actually, something broke right before we filmed, so this is going to be really cool. We're going to start with our first topic. Fiender fired. He's been a mass schizophrenic, an eater of worlds, and before that, an eater of many, many pancakes. But now Bray Wyatt finds himself something new, unemployed. As WWE continues to take a blowtorch to the village that is their roster, many are surprised to see guys like Braun Strowman gone, and now Bray Wyatt being cut from a promotion that, by the way, still employs Titus O'Neil. So, Jake, talk about Bray Wyatt here. What do you think?
I'm not even going to take a shot at O'Neil, because simply he does a lot in their marketing.
He does.
He's a great marketing guy. I see why they keep. I mean, he honestly can't be getting paid that much. He honestly can't.
You know what?
When you look at the guy, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, the eater of what, all the thousands of gimmicks that this man has come up with, that none of them failed because of him.
Oh no,
they
not
all
at
failed
all.
because they could not book. You have him losing a Hell in a Cell.
Right. Well, yeah, that was
against Seth Rollins
by disqualification.
Too much ass kicking.
I don't know what that was about.
It wasn't a disqualification. It was they stopped the match.
Yeah, that's a disqualification. I'm sorry, but that's a disqualification. You can use one hammer but not the other. But that's what I'm saying. The biggest problem with, and I'm gonna try and make these short. I don't want to make this a whole hour long, because we could discuss just this case for an hour, because there were so many missteps, so many times they reboot the character and all these things. There were a lot of booking mistakes, to put it that way. This is the kind of character that, done right and not beaten all to hell, this character, and I say this definitively, and I said this back then, could have been another Undertaker. This could have been the kind of character, and I don't just remember because it was dark, but I mean just the character that could reinvent and over time and go 15, 20 years.
And they have. And he started off as that.
He reinvented, but it's like they reinvented. Every time they reinvented, they found a way to cut him off at the knees. He was this, and then they took the Wyatt family away from him, and then they put it back with him. And then then they put him out there, and he had like the butcher's gear or whatever the hell.
Matt Hardy.
Yeah, they put him with Matt Hardy, and then they cut the knees off. And then they brought him back as the Fiend, and then they have him lose to Goldberg. And they just keep cutting things, and it's like,
oh God, I forgot about losing to Goldberg.
So now, knowing how WWE treated him, knowing how WWE just completely screwed the pooch on this, to the point where the ASPCA should be called, what do you see him doing now? Where do you see him going to AEW, or do you see him as the kind of guy who's looking at his options, maybe elsewhere, maybe somewhere we're not thinking about?
So I guess here's one of the craziest things, because we live in a pro wrestling two-world system right now.
Right.
You have WWE, which is WWE. Right. Then you have AEW, who is working with New Japan,
right?
Who's working with Impact,
yeah.
Who's working with Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, who's working with MLW, who's they this open door that they have,
right?
It opens things for him to be able to do any. I mean, I could honestly see him for a year or two. If I know he's hinted at the something of Wyndham on Twitter, the family of Wyndham, or the cult of Wyndham. Cult of Wyndham, I think, is what he's talking about on Twitter. I could see him honestly going to a place like Impact.
Oh, okay.
Simply because he can go to Impact, he can do all the weird stuff that he can build this character of, which is essentially going to be himself under his real name, I would assume.
Well, he'd have to have a different name because Bray Wyatt's the B name, clearly.
Unless they do some stupid thing where he's Bray, but he's Brey.
Oh god! Don't give him any ideas. It's Impact.
Yes. But with Impact, he can go there for a year or two, build this. You've got guys like Eric Young and stuff there. Yeah. He can build the character there. Then a year or two from now, move up to AEW.
My thing is,
I think the thing is, I think AEW is too full right now.
It's full, but it's also like, to me, and I've been maybe a little too negative on Impact. And I'll say this, and we'll go on because there's so much more to cover. But the thing about Impact is they've survived longer than WCW did.
Yeah.
But now they're recording TV months in advance. They're in front of like 200-300 people in Canada. I mean, I know some guys who work there, and I don't wish for guys not to have a place to work. But if you look at the company now and the company in, let's say, 2010, they're not the same company.
No.
If you're going to come off WWE television, logically, the next step, if you're going to go not close, AEW is not WWE. It's not. They're not there yet. But they've got enough names where they're on national television. They're the closest thing to it. And I feel like Impact is like, it's like MLW and it's like NWA right now. It exists, and we know who some of the people are, but it's a small pond. And to me, Bray Wyatt would be, but if Bray Wyatt went over there, he would be the biggest star they had. Period. Because right now, who's the biggest guy they have? Sami Callihan? With all due respect, Sami Callihan.
Sami Callihan, Moose. But that's one of those.
A guy, Moose is fine, but he's Moose. No, but I'm saying he's fine, but the biggest place Moose ever went was Ring of Honor. That's the biggest he ever was. No, the NFL, but this ain't football. That's what I'm telling you. Sure. So my thing is, like, the biggest place he ever went was Ring of Honor. Okay, now he's an Impact, which is oddly enough kind of smaller than Ring of Honor if you want to look at crowd size.
But I guess the biggest thing though is if you go to a place like Impact where you can do that fun stuff, but you can still work a Ring of Honor. You can work a New Japan. Are you kidding me? He shows up in a New Japan match. New Japan would shit themselves.
Well, and that'd be fine, but I would rather him see, honestly, like I said, I'll leave it at this. Honestly, I'd rather see him do like an AEW, do like John Moxley's doing, AEW, and then maybe make it a New Japan appearance.
Moxley.
Maybe make a New Japan
you've known this for years.
Right, Moxley's awesome. But I'm saying, I'd rather see him do that, so he's up there with Jericho and Moxley and go like that,
my biggest
Sami Callihan and Moose. I'd rather see the AEW connection.
The biggest thing with if he goes to AEW that I think is going to, I wouldn't say cause an issue, but people are going to want him in Dark Order. And I think
that's a natural connection. But
stay away from Dark Order.
But honestly, I think that'd be a natural connection. But again, what you do is you subvert that. Make people think you're going that way, and then don't. There's nothing wrong with that. And creatively, I think they'd let him be creative to a point because that's what AEW does.
That's true.
But we'll see. Like I said, he's just released. He still has a 90-day. We'll see what's going to go on.
As I say, does he have a 90-day?
I would imagine a guy at his stature would. I mean, they're voluntary, but most guys who sign that deal, probably would have.
Do we want to go right into?
Well, that's what I want to talk about. Just as we
contract,
I wrote this, and like I said, Bray Wyatt's been out for a little bit, and while we're doing this, I literally just got sent this. Jake actually sent me this.
Oh no, I meant the other one. I meant the other.
Hold on. Doug B is currently on a firing spree. Like I said, the blowtorch. This is Vietnam, and they've got the flamethrower. They're going through their roster. Yeah, I'm going there.
They've got the atomic bomb.
They're going through, and they're cutting people. They've, years past, they've had the spring cleaning, let's say, after WrestleMania, everybody gets their payday, and then they cut, 10 people or so. They've had one of those about every few weeks. They're coming in and they're cutting and they're cutting. And sometimes it's guys like Bray Wyatt, and sometimes it's guys on the NXT roster that we've never heard of, but they're all getting cut and big cuts. The most recent one just happened Friday night, late Friday night. We have guys like Bobby Fish, Bronson Reed, Leon Ruff, Mercedes Martinez, Jake Atlas, Ari Sterling, Kona Reeves, Stephon Smith, Tyler Russ, Zechariah Smith, Asher Hale, and Giant Zangier. Half of those people don't know who the hell they are, to be completely honest with you. Some of them don't surprise me. Some of them very much surprise me. I'll be honest with you. Bobby Fish, I like Bobby Fish, but he doesn't surprise me. He couldn't stay healthy. This guy was
healthy, and they have nothing for him.
He was the number 4 guy in the Undisputed Era. Let's call it what it is. And forming Red Dragon with Kyle O'Reilly in Ring of Honor was great.
He'll go to Ring of Honor.
He couldn't stay healthy. Well, he couldn't stay healthy.
And be successful.
And Undisputed Era's gone. And he couldn't stay. I mean, this was like his third injury since he's been there. So that one doesn't surprise me. Bronson Reed surprises me because this guy was on TV, last week? This guy was a former North American champion.
And he's supposed to be getting called up. He's been doing trial matches to get called up.
Great
he
work.
He was on Main Event.
Yes.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I mean, he's a big guy, and I just thought that I would surprise. Leon Ruff kind of surprises me. I thought they were going to do a little more with him.
The one that shocked me the most, that just went, what, is Tyler Rust. Tyler Rust.
Well, nothing wrong with Tyler Rust, but I'm not surprised.
He's in the Diamond Mine. You just debuted them less than a month ago.
They're not. Here's the thing, and that's another thing we're talking about. This communication between the communication is between the main roster and NXT. The people that are making the cuts are main roster. They're Nick Khan, they're Vince McMahon, they're Bruce Pritchard. They don't give a shit.
Right?
They don't.
I couldn't remember.
Nick Khan. Yeah, they don't care.
Tony Khan is AEW.
Yeah,
Nick
they're not even related. Totally different people. They're not even related. But I'm saying is they're not making that communication.
Sure?
I'm pretty sure. I hope so. Otherwise, that would be
what he's doing right now.
That would be infiltration.
The roster, I would not be surprised. But he just went full, be like, ha, I got him from within.
But they don't. But my thing is, they don't do that because they did the same thing when they got rid of Alexander Wolf. They had Alexander Wolf lose to Killian Dane, and then what they do 2 weeks later, they fired Killian Dane too. So I don't think, because I think the cuts are coming from.
It's amazing if you haven't caught any of his interviews. Big Damo, I've probably watched about 6 different interviews with Big Damo, and I love Big Damo. I've followed Big Damo. I mean, back when he was wrestling over in Ireland. This dude,
he's a big guy. They gave
him a decent gimmick, but this dude actually has like amazing personality. And what's even crazier is. And now, mind you, I know, relations and stuff don't have anything in WWE, but he's married to their current women's champion.
Yes. Yeah, I know. That's the thing.
Nikki Ash,
whatever the heck. Yeah. Molly Holly version 2. What got me here, one of them is Mercedes Martinez. That one kind of surprised me because of all the years she'd worked in the Indies. They bring her in. They at least they're going to do something with her. They send her back to NXT. She seems stable, and then they just cut her.
Well, she asked to go back because she wanted out of that god awful.
Retribution.
Oh God, what was the name of that? Reckoning or
Retribution.
Retribution. Jesus.
That was the name of the dumb group.
That says a lot. That was a month ago, and I can't remember the damn name of the group.
Yeah, it was. Hopefully we can all forget it. But one of them, I'll say I'll say it straight up like this. And I think that because I think he fits better. I think Jake Atlas will go to AEW because I think he's the kind of guy he's a smaller guy. He's a guy who would fit right in.
I could see Leon Ruff going.
Leon Ruff, maybe. I could definitely see Jake Atlas because Jake Atlas is one of those,
Mercedes Martinez, I could see going to AEW.
Because Atlas is one of those PWG guys, as was Bronson Reed. He was Jonah Rock. There are PWG guys, and a lot of PWG guys could go to AEW. I don't see Kona Reeves. We talked about this before we started recording. Kona Reeves is a guy I've heard the name for years, but he just never did anything. He never went.
Ari Sterling. Ari Sterling is Alex Zane. Alex Zane is an amazing talent. But they give him a name that nobody recognizes. They do nothing with him.
Well,
and then they go, oh, well, he
there's
can't
always
make
those guys. There's always those guys that WWE brings in. They rename for no dumb reason. And then they have this buzz going in and they just never get out of the system. Sammy Callahan did that. That's why he asked for his release. There used to be a guy named Alex Kozlov. He was Russian. He worked in Ring of Honor. He worked in Japan. Really talented guy. He came in. They called him Peter Orlov. Still Russian. He went nowhere. They quietly cut him, and this was years and years ago. And it looked like he was good, and he never went anywhere. There are some guys that just come in and they just never, whatever it is in the system, they never really make it, and they have buzz coming in, and they're just gone. A couple of the guys, I don't know who the hell they are. I hope they all have somewhere to go or be doing.
Stephon Smith is a referee.
Okay, well there you go. See, that's what I mean. I
can't imagine cutting a referee is going to save it. Because their big thing right now, especially with Khan.
Yeah, Nick
Khan is budget cuts.
Well,
are you telling me that you're paying a referee that nice?
Well,
cutting him.
Like I said, it's the blowtorch. It's the blowtorch. They fired. Are you now
able to get the nicer bread and catering?
When they fired Drake Wirtz, because he's a lunatic, they also fired Jake Clemens, who was another ref, who was an Ohio guy. Jake Clemens was an Ohio ref. I met him at some of the shows. He was at war shows. But yeah, they fired him the same day. He was a ref. He was the Seth Rollins ref.
I knew the one because he was going on the one referee that you mentioned.
Yeah, Drake Wirtz
was going on on Orlando's government things.
Yeah,
and he's claiming that they were trying to kidnap the children and
without getting too far, I don't want to get into politics on this because I have my opinions and everyone does. But yeah, he's a crazy anti-vaxxer. He's a lunatic. So they seemed to me everyone won there when they got rid of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, used to be Drake Younger, and years ago I saw him in the Indies. I didn't know he was crazy back then, but apparently he was. So, all right, quick question. I didn't tell you about this ahead of time because I wanted to get your really reaction. Taking all of this into account, all the people that are already gone, who do you think WWE is going to fire next? One person. Name one person you think is next on the chopping block. Could be NXT, Raw, SmackDown, doesn't matter.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Oh, that's a big one.
That
is a big one. Wow. I'm not putting it past
them. They've never seen the money in him. They've never seen the money in him.
I know that, absolutely. Well, at this point, when you fire Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt, anything's possible at this point, and we all get that.
You've got to make sure that Bill Goldberg can be your main event.
Yeah, he's got to come in and make his money for 5 minutes.
One of those, I see bringing in Cena for Roman. That's an awesome dream match.
That makes total
sense. And Cena's going to put him over.
Yeah.
But Goldberg, that happened, and I was like, now, if you're going to bring in a part-time, you're going to bring in Brock. Pay Brock. Yeah. At least Bobby, that's something Bobby wants. They told Bobby when he re-signed, 6 years ago?
Right.
That was a dream match, and he wanted that, and they were going to give him that match. Bring that one in, because at least then you go, holy shit. Brock's still in amazing shape.
Yeah, well,
he still trains in MMA gym.
Because he has nothing but time.
A horse a day.
He has nothing but time to train and kill bears with his bare hands. I mean, he has nothing but time.
I do love that the butcher video, if you haven't seen it, of him going to the butcher, and they're teaching him how to butcher.
Oh,
and he's
Lord.
he's like, I've never done it that way. He's backwoods at learning how to properly butcher. He's just I've not. But he's the entire time is just, he looked like a kid, learning it in school, and it was wonderful.
Well, my answer for the firing squad is, of course, Marty Jannetty. They're going to hire him just so they can fire him again. Logically. All right.
They can't keep him off Twitter for a day to be fired.
Well, I'm just saying, give him a second and, hire him and fire him for whatever he does in the next 5 minutes, because it's going to be something.
The same meeting. They'd be you're hired. You send your contract. Okay, now you're fired.
Adam Cole, baby. Legally, you have to say that. And Pete Dunne. Both of their deals are expiring soon. Adam Cole reportedly met with Vince McMahon, which means something is serious because Granddad calls you to meet with him.
This made my head hurt.
Will Adam Cole? Will hold on. Will Adam Cole go play with the Young Bucks, which sounds dirty, but it's not? And will Pete Dunne go back to being a bully at Hogwarts? What do you think?
So, I'm gonna start with Pete Dunne. I see him going back over to Europe.
Okay.
And I see him being a star there. Adam Cole, baby, which
by law.
I almost wore the shirt because you know how much I love
right.
Adam Cole, baby.
Right.
He'll resign with NXT.
Honestly, I think it's 50-50. He might. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. To me, he's plateaued in NXT. I like him in NXT, but he's plateaued. Now, what do you do? Put the belt on him again? So to me, it's a call him up or he's going to go because there's nowhere for him to go in NXT right now. But it's 50-50. He might. I'm not saying one way or the other. He might go. He might stay. I don't know.
If you bring Karrion Kross up to the main roster,
yes.
So he can job out to Jeff Hardy some more.
It needs to be done.
That opens up for Adam to be able
right.
to. Because here's the thing, though. As much as they say, he's plateaued, he's a different character now because he can now go and be that cocky heel. I don't need anybody.
Right.
That he's played. I mean, in New Japan.
Well, and he's done
Ring
that.
of Honor.
And he's done that, but it's to me, it's a lot like. It's going to be a weird draw here, but to me, it's a lot like what Raven was in 1997 in ECW. He had worked everybody at his level, with the exception of Sabu, and you're at the point where creatively, where do you go? He'd done Sandman. He had done Tommy Dreamer. He even fought with Stevie Richards. There were so many things going on, and now you're looking at like one program he hadn't done. So creatively, where do you go? To me, Adam Cole he has worked. He's been the champion. He's been the world champion. He's been the North American champion. He's in the ladder match. He's done the War Games. He did Undisputed Era. They broke up Undisputed Era. Had the feud with Kyle O'Reilly. He's done every natural thing that's going progressive. Okay, he's by himself. He's cocky. He's good at that. But with the same roster, or mostly the same roster, where does he go? Does he win the belt again? Well, then you're right back where you started. So then he's the cocky champion. And then what? To me, it's like, if you don't, there's nothing new there. The only thing new is to bring him up to one of the main rosters and maybe, hopefully, use him correctly. And then there's a whole new roster of people he can work with, because otherwise there's no progress.
He'll be the 24/7 champion in a month.
Well, he might be, and that's concerning too. But my thing is, I was fine with them. With NXT being on USA Network, you have to keep. It's good to keep a core group of people. I think Finn Balor's great. I think Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano. Keep guys keep them on the roster. Don't move them up just to move them up. But at the same time, Adam Cole is a character. Just creatively, he's plateaued there again, unless he runs back through the circle and does another feud with Kyle O'Reilly. Or, like I said, maybe gets a program with Karrion Kross, or faces Finn Balor again. He's just basically
Balor's on the main now.
Right, exactly. But he's just doing a victory lap again.
Right.
He's doing a victory lap right back. And to me, there's no good use in that. So you need to keep certain guys. But my thing is, if this had been a year ago or two, okay, keep him on. I think creatively we're at the end of that. And now it becomes either you move him up or you move him out, because they're creatively in NXT. He's at the end. He's done. He's where Samoa Joe was years ago when he was champ. They lost the belt. Okay, now where do you go? You got to move him up.
Okay, but here's my thing: if he goes to AEW, he's just going to become another.
Oh sure, AEW has a lot of guys, and that's what I mean. AEW has a lot of guys like that.
Join the Super Elite. Does he
just honestly
another
he could
guy on Rampage? What?
Well, he could be. My thing is, okay, there's three scenarios here. He stays at NXT, like I said, he just sort of spins his wheels because that's what he's doing now. He gets called up to Raw and SmackDown, and logically, they probably won't use him right because they never do. 90% of the people they call up, they screw over. Okay. Yep. I mean, hell, what's Bobby Roode done since they brought him up? Nothing. Okay. And then half those guys get fired anyway. Yeah, or he goes to AEW, and like you said, he could just be another guy. Yeah. But my thing is, you be another guy on SmackDown and Raw, or you be another guy on AEW, or you be another guy in NXT. If the kind of guy, I think creatively, the best chance he has might be AEW. But again, if they offer him the right deal, he might stay. He's the kind of guy, he's a wild card. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
it's
we'll see.
I mean, it's one of those. I think the AEW stuff, I think, is because of Britt.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
girlfriend, wife.
That.
Are they married or are they just dating?
I don't think they're married yet. I think, as far as I know, they're not married yet. But I don't know. I don't know the personal life, but I don't think I heard anything about that. So I don't think they did.
But I mean, it's one of those where I think that connection. But the thing is, I could see Adam Cole not wanting to go to AEW simply because feeling like if he's there, they're gonna put those two together.
Yeah, maybe.
And then, or people will want them to be together.
Right.
And I mean, she's too much of a star now.
Yeah, they don't need that. They don't need, I mean, that's what I mean. They don't need that. It's not necessary. All right.
Like I said, I could see him staying in NXT.
Yeah, that's what I mean. To me, it's 50-50.
Make that money and...
Right, exactly. To me, it's 50-50. I'm not really sure. But to me,
you're not touring the way that you have to. I mean, you're mostly able to stay there in Orlando, which is right there where, Britt and everything, they don't have to...
He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that it could go 50-50. And there's very few guys there. Like, whenever you saw Jeff Jarrett leaving a company, you see he was walking out the door. This is the kind of guy where, honestly, it could be, he could stay, I don't know. It's 50-50. It is one of those, you don't really know for sure.
About this whole story is, how do you just forget when his contract runs out?
Well, they did that. Like, speaking of Jeff Jarrett, they did that. They did that with Jeff Jarrett. They put the Intercontinental title on him and then realized his deal expired. Lex Luger.
Lex Luger pissed off Vince.
Yeah,
Lex Luger. You got to pay me. He did the old Ultimate Warrior.
Lex Luger was working with WWF for about 6 months without a deal. It was a handshake because his deal was up. So that's what anymore they don't do that. Anymore they're very clear about that. But occasionally something falls through the cracks. And these are two situations that apparently did. Dunn and Cole.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to our next topic. Domino, deathmatch wrestler, bank robber, and dental ad before picture, Nick Gage, made a surprise appearance on AEW Dynamite, cutting up Jericho's pretty face. He used glass and a pizza cutter, which was interrupted by an ad for Domino's Pizza, who disavowed the promotion because they only want to be associated with shitty pizza and not shitty wrestling. What are your thoughts on this incident? Is Domino's overreacting, or is this some kind of weird revenge on Jim Herd somehow?
So I was watching. I'm an AEW person. I've slowly been moving that way. Was watching that because I'm a Dark Side of the Ring fan, so I'm slowly becoming a Nick Gage fan.
My God.
The moment that he did that it went to a Domino's, I fell out of my chair laughing.
My God. Yeah, that was wow.
Did you see who? Now, mind you, I love the beer. I honestly, I wish I had actually gone and got me some before here, because I was gonna get me one, because I love the beer because it's always been something that I drink growing up. But the people that marketed out of this Domino's situation, PBR, Pabst Blue Ribbon, said, We'll go and take their spot if they don't want to. And they put out the dumbest commercial ever with Matt Cardona.
Oh dear God.
His the other major brother.
No, yeah, Brian Myers.
And Hornswoggle. And they did like a little and they did like a pool party commercial that aired in the spot that would have been Domino's, because Domino's pulled. Which get over it, Domino's. Your pizza is shit.
To be fair, past blue ribbon.
Domino's had to pull out a gimmick from when we were kids to promote the pizza now. Yeah. Well, they brought a thing from when we were like in underoos, eating Dunkaroos.
Have you ever heard? This is a quick aside. Have you heard how the Noid thing ended the first time?
No.
There was a guy who was apparently schizophrenic whose last name happened to be Noid. He took a store hostage because he thought the commercial was about him. Yeah. They ended it like, oh crap. Yeah, that's how it ended.
I'll give him benefit of the doubt if that is your last name.
That was his last name.
You're a little crazy.
Yeah.
I'll give that the benefit of the doubt.
People were trying to avoid him from ruining pizzas somehow. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, like I said, Domino's, suck it up. It's wrestling. I'm not a fan of Nick Gage by any means, but
put it this way: how many people on Twitter were talking about Domino's? After that happened.
That was funny. It was completely funny by accident for all the wrong reasons. I'm still not a fan of Nick Gage, but it was a funny incident. Next topic. Oh, here's a good one. Punks and Dragons. Reportedly, Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, and CM Punk, of all people, are coming to AEW. This is, at first I didn't believe this, but this, he's starting a chant over there. We got one guy starting a chant. How do you start a chant on a podcast? Not sure how that works. I'll do it. It's recorded. When this happens, they're not.
And everybody that's listening to it right now is chanting in their cars.
I don't think they are. I really don't think they are. But especially because you're doing this on video and you're pumping your fist. No one can see that. No one can see. Anyway, when I first heard this, I didn't believe it. I thought Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson, I believe. I didn't believe CM Punk. CM Punk, I was like, because we've heard it for so many years.
Honestly, I still don't until he shows up.
Yeah, I don't know. But here's my thing.
Even then, I could see him
just coming to Chicago. They're coming to Chicago. They're making a big deal. Reportedly, AEW has rented a larger building. So they're preparing for the fans. So if they don't deliver, they're going to shoot themselves, not in the foot, in the femoral artery. They're going to shoot off their fucking knees.
Well, and
so they better have it. I think they do, because otherwise they would not hype it. They would not let it happen, because if they did and 15,000 people show up and he's not there, they will riot. And I mean that. They will riot.
And they will in Chicago.
And in Chicago. Yeah. So I think
Chicago will burn down the city when their team wins.
Again. They'll burn it down again. Yeah. I think Bryan Danielson, my question, someone brought this up. I saw this online, and it's a good question. Knowing Bryan Danielson, I knew him as Bryan Danielson because I was watching him in Ring of Honor years before WWE ever looked at him. Can he work their style? I mean, physically he can, but I mean, his history of concussions. How long are we talking before he takes one errant shot from Kenny Omega and he's done for good? Is this guy going to be a part-timer? Because honestly, I think they have Sting in the ring too often for his age. But you get a guy like Bryan Danielson, who's he's a concussion away from being done. Are you going to put him in the ring with a guy who does nothing but kick you in the head? So he's a good wrestler, but is he a guy you could do for 5 years, or is he we might get 2 years out of him?
So basically, I think with Bryan Danielson, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised with CM Punk. What these guys is they are coming in. Danielson has said in interviews he wants to wrestle different people.
Right.
Before Danielson's, I wouldn't be surprised if it was only a year.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with him.
He gets to wrestle the guys like Kenny Omega,
right?
Hangman Page, the guys that he wants to wrestle.
Exactly.
Plus, they've got where that connection again, the open door where he can go wrestle. In a New Japan's like WrestleMania?
Wrestle Kingdom.
Yes.
Or hell, they could
put a match at Wrestle Kingdom.
Or hell, they could put him.
He can ride off into the sunset.
Or put him in the G1. Put him in the G1. Let him have works with guys. Let him work guys like Ibushi, or Kenta or I mean, Evil. You can put him against Evil, Sonata. There's so many guys he could work.
Exactly. Well, I think that's going to be more his thing.
That's what I mean. It might be a retirement tour, and that's nothing wrong with that. I'm not long term, but I can think Punk. If the money's right with Punk, I think Punk's got a few more years left in him because I think he can do it more often.
5 years, but it's been longer than 5 years.
2014, January 2014. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, January 2014 is when he left. So, and he's had nothing to. I mean, he did like one indie show. He did an indie show and he ran in during a match, or whatever. Or he didn't run and he was wearing a mask, but it was him. But yeah,
really?
Yeah, he did a little indie, some random.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was some random indie. It was a small little indie. He ran, he had a mask. It wasn't him, but it was him. But he's had nothing to do with wrestling in that entire time.
No, he had 2 MMA fights.
Yeah.
He went 1-1.
Yeah, 1-1. Yeah.
He lost, but then sorry about your luck. The other guy,
the old Brock Lesnar. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, I think he'll be a big name, and I think if they put him, especially Punk, if they put him in the mix right away, put him with a guy like Moxley, that could be a great feud. Let him talk. Let him just talk the way they want to talk. And that'll be great.
You had said this earlier. Moxley is one that proves with AEW that you can go in there and because let's be honest, Dean Ambrose.
Oh my God, yeah.
If you had taken that character and put it on freaking Impact, people wouldn't have given a shit.
They made him.
But he came in the night he came in against Jericho.
Yeah,
he just showed a different. And now putting him with a guy oh God, why did I just forget his name? He's in a tag team right now with his buddy. Oh God. Moxley and I just forgot Eddie Kingston.
Kingston, okay, yeah.
Eddie Kingston, but like that, they come out walking through the crowd. They come out to Wild Thing. I mean, it gets the crowd, you know. Yeah. They're awake. They're singing along to it, you know, because a lot of the, you know, the AEW people. Look, we all remember Major League.
Yeah.
That song was when we were kids, you know, Major League. That's awesome that he comes out to that.
Right.
I think it's an awesome thing for the character.
A thought has occurred. Someone I didn't think of this originally. Someone thought of this, and I was like, "Holy crap, that is a good point." The one thing about assuming CM Punk is actually coming to AEW, the weirdest part of it all is going to be that if CM Punk is in AEW, so is Colt Cabana. And since the lawsuit, those two are not talking. Since the Chris Amon, so my thing is that's awkward because I mean, if it had been 5 years ago, that would have been the greatest thing in the world because they were buddies and you would have seen stuff like that. And you'd seen backstage, you know, like the Bucks and Kenny Omega, they're friends, you know what I mean? But now he's not that. Just in a backstage, that's got to be a little awkward because as far as I know, they're not talking anymore. They're still not talking after that lawsuit. So, that could be a little awkward there. So someone brought that up, and I was like, "Oh crap, you're right."
But at the same time, you know, we don't know behind that. May just be one of those things that they made up a year ago and said, "Hey."
I do know that part of that is that Cabana did sue Punk. Because Punk had agreed to pay for the legal fees because, quite frankly, he's the millionaire and Cabana's hustling to get everything done. And so as far as I could tell, last I heard, they weren't even on speaking terms. So that could be a little awkward.
That may be one of those where Punk has never been one to go out in interviews and be like, oh no, we're best friends again. They very well may have made up behind the scenes.
I hope so. I hope so, because those two were just, even back in Ring of Honor, those guys were hilarious together. All right. Last topic we're going to cover, unfortunately, is not a happy one. There are some unfortunate things that happen in pro wrestling. There's no joke here at these intros. This is not a joke. There are no jokes when it comes to this. This past week has been the passing of the former Masked Assassin, Jody Hamilton, and a member of the Midnight Express, Bobby Eaton. Both passed away within about a week of each other. Jody Hamilton was, of course, the Masked Assassin, one of the best masked heels of all time, second only to, I would guess, second only to the masked superstar, Bill Eadie. Hamilton was a wrestler, a manager. He actually started what became the power plant in WCW. Started in 1991. Is responsible for, partially responsible for training Kevin Nash. Take that for what it's worth. Yeah, Nash went to what was before the power plant and was trained by Jody Hamilton. And his son was WCW referee Nick Patrick.
Oh!
Yeah, that's his son.
I didn't know. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't know that one.
Nick Hamilton. And he was involved with the wrestling business well into the 2000s. After WCW closed, he actually started his own promotion and school again.
Right.
And Bobby Eaton was regarded by many to be one of the best wrestlers of his era, to the point where one time there's a story out there about Ric Flair. They asked Ric Flair who he wanted to work for a show, and he said Bobby Eaton. And Ric Flair at the time was Ric Flair, and Bobby Eaton was doing like jobs on WCW Saturday Night, and he said because he knew he could go out there and have a great match with him, and he did. And it didn't draw. So, it wasn't a drawing program or anything, but it was a great match, and that's what he wanted to have.
I was doing some research, and Dan being the mostly know-it-all of wrestling that you are, in the time of the Midnight Express.
Yes.
How many different people has there been in a version of Midnight Express?
There are, I remember, well, if you count Jim Cornette, 5. Jim Cornette, there is Stan Lane, Bobby Eaton, that's the later version. There was, because they brought back 2 of the original members to be the Rock and Roll RPMs. Or the original Midnight Express, my mistake. The original Midnight Express to face off against Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane. And the names evade me because I remember there were 2 guys and then one left and Bobby Eaton came in and then the other guy left and then Stan Lane replaced him. So the final version was Stan Lane and Bobby Eaton, but I know there's at least 4. There might be more.
Now, are you ready for this?
All right, here we go.
Okay. So I am doing research. You're so far off, it's actually amazing.
Oh boy, here we go.
There are, and some equivalent of the Midnight Express. Okay, that's including the original Midnight Express.
Right.
There are 22.
Oh dear Lord.
You have Randy Rose, Jack Victory, Norvell Austin, Ron Starr, Wayne Ferris, Wendy Richter.
Oh dear Lord.
Comrade Busick, Bombastic Bart.
Okay, that was the new Midnight Express. I don't count that. I don't count the new Midnight Express. Yeah. That was an abomination unto the Lord, and I don't count it. I don't count. I'll give you everything else.
Okay, so we'll go down to 20 then.
Bob and Bart don't count.
Rip Morgan, Ricky Nelson, Brad Thomas, Rick Harris, Midnight Stallion, I don't know, Norman Frederick Charles III, Big Bubba Rogers, Stan Lane, Dennis Condrey, Hercules Hernandez.
Okay, Dennis Condrey I get. Bubba Rogers should not count because he was the bodyguard of Jim Cornette. He was not a member of the team. He was a bodyguard. That one does not count.
Okay, so we're down to 19 then.
19, yeah.
Okay. Bobby Eaton, Bobby Walker, Joey Maggs.
Joey Mag? No. Joey Maggs teamed with Bobby Eaton, but he wasn't part of the Midnight Express. No. He was a WCW Saturday Night guy. Bobby Walker, no. Not Bobby Walker, no.
Yeah.
No. I'll give you more than 4, but a couple of those guys don't. There's no way. Bobby Walker wasn't good enough to literally lace up the boots of Bobby Eaton. Without question. Bobby Walker was a WCW job guy. Hard work Bobby Walker.
I just laughed that, I mean, even if you take out guys that you're like, no.
Yeah,
there's still 15 different.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of those guys. There's a lot of that in history. The Freebirds is another one. There's a history of the Freebirds. There's so many guys who are in the Freebirds or whatever, but the 3.
That's why they have the Freebird move.
Yeah, Buddy Roberts, you know Terry Gordy, Michael Hayes, and the hell with the rest of them. And Jimmy Garvin, I guess. But yeah, unfortunately, I think 2 guys. Bobby Eaton was only 62 years old. That was very unfortunate. 62. Yeah, that was. It's really crazy to me. It's really crazy to me. The guy like Bob Eaton passed away at his age, and Jim Cornette lives to rate. Jim Cornette hasn't had a heart attack yet. With all the rage he has, that amazes me. Like,
oh no, dude.
He outlives the tag teams that he managed, and he's a rage monster. That amazes the hell out of me.
I'm pretty sure that's what's keeping his heart pumping. Because
just
like if wrestling stopped for like a week and just like, I think honestly, like if during this lockdown, I think if wrestling had stopped like for a month, Jim Cornette would have died because he would have not had something to complain about.
It's like rage. It's just rage and hatred of
rage
Vince
pumping
Russo.
through his veins.
And the hatred of Vince Russo. That's all that keeps him alive. Pumping everything. Oh my God! I still want to see them fight. I just want like a real fight. Not
I was just about to say the exact same thing.
I want to see a fist fight. I want to see him just beat the hell out of him. It'd be hilarious.
Have you ever seen the Brawl for All?
Yes. Yes.
Those two.
Half of that episode was just Jim Cornette yelling about Vince Russo, and it was great. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, like I said, rest in peace to Jody Hamilton and Bobby Eaton. Two legends gone. I mean, it's sad to see anyone in the business go, but these two guys had a hell of a career. Both of them did in their own way. Hamilton, like I said, Hamilton was done in the ring by the early 90s. Bobby Eaton was wrestling well. I mean, Bobby Eaton was a job guy for WCW well into the 2000s. He was amazing. Yeah, he was working on Worldwide and WCW Saturday Night well into the late 90s, early 2000s. Great worker. So it's going to be unfortunate to see that. And on that lovely note, that is going to do it for this episode of the Event Center, brought to you by Exploder and our friends at Jobco. Jake, is there anything you'd like to promote or plug on your way out?
Well, I will plug the return of the revamped. Like we're talking about things being revamped like the Midnight Express. We are talking about the revamp of Something About Sports.
Ooh,
where
I like it.
Not only will you be seeing my wonderful face, but I will actually be joined by a soon to be announced co-host.
Whoa!
Who will be coming on to talk about sports. So I'm pretty excited. I'm waiting until I can make a formal announcement. We are bringing on somebody to be a co-host and talk sports with me. And then, of course, Dan, you know, we've already broke kayfabe once. We'll break it again. Hillbilly Therapy will be coming back this fall.
Yes, absolutely.
The craziness that it is.
Yes.
And we will let Jake Hill back out of the county jail.
That is
where he is currently serving some time for some moonshine offenses again.
Yeah, that's the podcast, the non-wrestling podcast that I go crazy on. So I like to do both sides. I'm crazy, depends on the topic. So,
but
all right.
But yep, those will both be coming back this fall. So keep an eye out for those in connection with our wonderful other ZTOTV podcasts that we have. And Dan, thanks for having me on here. As you know, we're able to talk about wrestling all the time, so it's nice to come on here and talk about wrestling, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. To the Exploder audience, thank you for being patient. I know I have not done a official episode in a while. I wanted to get this out there, talk about modern things, talk about the news, and like I said, a lot of stuff's happened over a short period of time, so I thought that'd be a great time to do it. I am working on full-fledged episodes. I'm working on them right now, and I have a production schedule, and I'm going to keep to that. So this is going to be out for a little bit, and there's going to be an official, a regular old traditional episode in the future. But until then, enjoy the memes on the page, and as always, support ZTOTV, support the Growing Show, support Something About Sports, Hillbilly Therapy. There is a roundtable. We've done the first roundtable. We're about to do another roundtable coming up in everything. So until next time, my name's Dan, this Exploder. Have a good one.